Meeting back to order. We are now public. Welcome to meeting number 53 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Human Resources, Skills, Social Development, and the Status of Persons with Disabilities. Pursuant to Standing Order 1082, the committee will resume its study on the subject matter of Supplementary B 2022-2023. Vote 1B under Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, votes 1B and 5B under Department of Employment and Social Development. To ensure an orderly meeting, I would like to make a few comments. Please wait until I recognize you to get my attention and get on the speaking order list. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. If you're if you're virtually, please use the raised hand icon. And wait until I recognize you. We have a speaking order with designated time. For those appearing virtually and in the room, you have the option of using the official language of your choice. Interpretation services are available. If you are using the Zoom camera. In accordance with the routine motion, I am informing the committee that all witnesses that required connection tests in advance have been completed. As well, as I indicated, if there's an interruption in the interpretation service, get my attention. Those members meeting virtually, unless you're in an approved House of Commons headset, you will not be recognized to participate verbally. Appearing for this meeting is the Honourable Carla Qualtrough, Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Disability Inclusion. And she has department staff, Jean-Francois Tremblay, Karen Robertson, Tammy Bélanger, Andrew Brown, Alyssa Ram, Michael McPhee, Ati Raham. And we'll begin with Minister Qualtrough for 5 minutes. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's good to be back at the Standing Committee on Human Resources, Skills and Social Development and the Status of Persons with Disabilities. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that I'm joining you from the traditional territory of the Tsawwassen and Musqueam First Nations. I was last before this committee to testify during your study of Bill C-22, which seeks to create, as you know, the Canada Disability Benefit. And I thank you for your work, and I thank you for your efforts in helping get Bill C-22 unanimously passed through third reading last week in the House of Commons.
Sorry, point of order, Mr. Chair. I thought when we're using this hybrid model, we're supposed to be able to see the individual, and we can't see the minister.
Have dealt with this before, and we have an agreement that the minister would appear with her picture on the screen because of disability issue. Okay. Continue, Madam Minister.
And thank you all. So I'm here today to talk about the Supplementary Estimates B for Employment and Social Development Canada. So let me jump right in. My department is requesting a total of $411.4 million in additional authorities through these supplementary estimates. This includes $164.5 million in operating expenses, $225.7 million in grants and contributions, and $21.2 million in statutory expenditures. I'll focus on a few of these initiatives in the interest of the committee's time. Of course, I'll begin by talking about Canada's first ever Disability Inclusion Action Plan, which we launched last October. The action plan is a roadmap to create a more inclusive Canada and has 4 pillars, including financial security, employment, accessible and inclusive communities, and a modern approach to disability. This is why we're requesting $13.6 million to implement early initiatives under the Disability Inclusion Action Plan. $11.4 million will go to the Opportunities Fund for persons with disabilities, and $2.2 million will go to alternative format reading materials. This funding will help us make real progress on the objectives laid out within the Disability Inclusion Action Plan. Le programme des travailleurs.
The temporary foreign worker program is another key area of focus for my department. We are requesting $18.7 million to meet the growing demand for labour market impact assessments. Demand is already high and is expected to increase over the next few years. It is important that we invest now to increase our processing capacity, including hiring more staff, to ensure that employers across Canada can hire temporary foreign workers in a timely manner. The additional funding will allow Service Canada to provide employers with timely decisions in 2022, 2023, and beyond. This will complement the changes introduced in April 2022, including the labor market impact assessments, which are now valid for 18 months, an increase of 9 months and 6 months pre-pandemic, another measure that makes it easier for employers to get the help they need when they need it.
Investing $27.1 million to increase the reach of the temporary foreign worker program and particular inspections. TFWs are vital to our economy. They make sure we have healthy, locally grown produce, fill gaps in critical sectors like trucking and construction. They deserve to work in safe, healthy, and dignified conditions. Over the past year, we've improved inspection quality, timeliness, and responsiveness. We also established a workload management strategy to reduce inspection backlogs, and we conducted outreach and engagement sessions with stakeholders. The additional funding will build upon these efforts and is part of our broader effort to rebuild the employer compliance regime. My department is responsible for delivering a wide variety of services to Canadians, from employment insurance to LMIAs to public pensions and a huge variety of grants and contributions. We recognize our IT systems need to be ready to get benefits to Canadians quickly and reliably. We are requesting $16.3 million through these estimates to ensure our IT systems are able to continue delivering for Canadians when they're counting on us. Canadians depended on us during the pandemic, so I'd like to speak about the Canada Emergency Response Benefit integrity measures. When the pandemic hit, our government moved quickly to implement the CERB and other benefits. In the beginning, we decided to go with an attestation-based approach. This approach was adopted by Parliament and supported by all parties. Eligibility verification is being done post-payment, and every single application has been reviewed. In cases where an individual has a balance owing, we methodically follow up in a compassionate, flexible manner. That work is ongoing, and to date, we have recovered $1.3 billion. All told, our individual COVID-19 benefit programs reached 13 million Canadians. We acted quickly to get recovery benefits into people's bank accounts without delay. Our approach kept workers connected to their jobs and positioned the economy to come roaring back. To recover funds from individuals who have a balance owing, we are requesting $13.4 million to reprofile lapsed 2021-2022 funding into 2022-2023. This will help fund ongoing reviews to identify and address cases of error and misrepresentation with respect to COVID-related emergency benefits. In closing, these and all the additional funds we're requesting are focused on helping Canadians and supporting our shared economic prosperity. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd be happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Madam Minister. We'll now begin with Ms. Gray for 6 minutes. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Minister, for being here with us today. Minister, you touched on this actually in your opening remarks, and the estimates mentioned integrity measures for CERB. So I wanted to start with that with regards to the integrity of this within the ESDC itself. And so last week, a story broke that within your department, 49 ESDC employees were fired by the department for taking CERB while they were still employed. Would that be correct, Minister?
That's my understanding, but I'll get JF to confirm, please.
It's correct.
Thank you. And when were you made aware there was an investigation being done of potential CERB fraud of employees within your department?
We specifically have let the public service handle all investigations with respect to any kind of issue related to CERB, whether it be fraud or error, specifically making sure and maintaining political distance, if you will, and making sure that there's never any appearance of impropriety. Of course, there are public servants who made these poor choices, and it is up to the department to take the lead on this. JF, anything further from you?
Minister, if I could just ask, are you saying that you were not made aware that there was any investigation going on previous to the announcement or previous to finding out that there were employees that would be terminated? Were you aware that there was an investigation going on specifically of employees within your department?
I was aware, at the level I was aware, was that there were public servants who were being followed up with, but not the specifics within my department or that precise number. But generally that this was a category that was being investigated.
Okay, so you're saying that no one brought to your attention specifically that there were employees being investigated within your department?
Not at that level of detail, no.
Minister, when were you made aware of the results of this investigation with the discovery of fraudulent CERB claims within your department?
I was made aware I want to make sure I get this date right. The day it broke, I was made aware.
And did someone inform you yourself, or did you hear about it on the news for the first time? Did someone make you aware
Oh my goodness.
of the results?
It was a conversation with my staff at my morning briefing.
And who informed you of this, Minister? It was one of your staff?
I apologize. I don't remember who the exact name of the person. I get briefed every morning on a myriad of issues, on a myriad of topics.
Okay, and of the individuals, these 49 ESDC employees that were terminated, what were the positions of these individuals? Were any of these in a management role?
I'll defer to the deputy on this.
As far as I know, there was nobody in the management role, but we can look at it if you want. And it was misrepresentation, not fraud.
Okay, and so Minister, you, as a follow-up to this, have you requested any information from your officials as to what positions these people may have had, and if there was misrepresentation or fraud? Have you asked for a follow-up on this and a report on this?
My interest in this has been solely around the process, and I have been assured that appropriate processes were followed in the investigation and the outcomes of these decisions. I just want to be clear. My involvement is very much on the process side. Here's how something's going to happen. Here's the possible outcomes. Again, certainly it's my practice to let these processes play out and make sure that I just know what the processes were.
Are there investigations still ongoing? Could the number be larger than this 49 that has been announced?
Best to confirm with JF on that. Sorry, my deputy. I apologize.
It's okay.
Well, Minister, if you're unclear, obviously you haven't received Obviously, you haven't asked information to find out whether or not.
It's more that I'm waiting for these processes to play out. If I think it wouldn't be appropriate to. I'm not sure the confidentiality at this point of anything that might be ongoing, so I'm hesitant to. I don't know final outcomes, so I don't want to get involved.
Right.
In
so you're unclear if there's still further investigations of employees within your department, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I'm unclear as to the outcomes of any further investigations.
Okay, Minister, your department officials told the Public Accounts Committee last week that these cases were dealt with internally and not referenced to any law enforcement. Does this mean that the money from those former employees, what they claimed, would not be recovered by the CRA?
My understanding is that this would be a separate process along with all the other CRA recovery processes. But JF, can you please confirm that?
As we said last week, like any other Canadians who misrepresent themselves, they will be treated like other Canadians in terms of repayment.
Minister, can you table for this committee a total number of employees who were investigated?
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Your time has concluded. Mr. Long for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to my colleagues. And Minister, good afternoon. Thank you for coming before committee again. I will say I've not seen, certainly in my years, a minister that's been so forthcoming, so transparent, and so available to members of Parliament and certainly to our HUMA committee. So, Minister, I'll start with this. When I started running, wanting to be an MP, I was doing a lot of door-to-door, and certainly one of the things that became very, very evident to me very quickly was the plight of, two groups, seniors, number one, but actually more so persons with disability. And, the stories that I would get at the doors, Minister, were heartbreaking. It's hard to believe that in a country like Canada, there was a group that had been so ignored. Obviously, mental health issues through the roof, employment, bare minimum, poverty, almost universal, and accessibility. And Minister, I do want to commend and compliment you on leading and bringing forth C81, the Accessible Canada Act, that is transformational legislation. I was proud to be part of that in my previous years with HUMA. And then obviously I want to switch now to C22, which obviously I'm very happy that just passed third reading in the House. It's now at the Senate, and I want to congratulate you again for your leadership on this. I think we all know around this committee, and certainly there was basically, I think, unanimous support that, it's historic legislation. It's going to be a game changer for persons living with disabilities, even, right across the country, and certainly my riding is St. John Rothesay. And I want to thank you for making sure that the disability community will be closely involved in shaping of the framework of the benefit. Obviously, support and input from that community is of utmost importance. We've done a lot, but as you've always said, it's never enough, and we can always do more. So having said what I've said, Minister, I'd like you to tell us what else you're doing and what else you're working on to improve the lives of persons living with disabilities. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And once again, thanks to this committee all through the Accessible Canada Act journey and into the Canada Disability Benefit journey. You've been there, and you've constantly worked together and you've made these laws, these bills better. Lots going on in the disability space with the Government of Canada. Of course, I refer to the Disability Inclusion Action Plan, so the 4 pillars there. The first pillar being financial security. The big one is our Canada Disability Benefit legislation. That is now in the Senate, and I hope passes as quickly and thoughtfully through that chamber as it did through ours. The second pillar is employment, and that specifically is the first. We're developing an employment strategy, so $227 million in last year's budget, a portion of which is requested in these supplemental estimates. The third one is accessible and inclusive communities. So really they're the barrier removal part of the equation. So the Accessible Canada Act, the work that Accessible Standards Canada is doing, the work through the Enabling Accessibility Fund to make spaces more physically accessible. And then, of course, the communications work we're doing to make written materials more accessible and overall just improve accessibility. So really focusing on barrier removal under that pillar. And third is what we're calling a modern approach to government. Fourth, is a modern approach to government. So this is the idea that Canadians deserve programs and eligibility processes and services that are disability friendly and disability inclusive, and really taking a look across government to infuse a modern, dignified approach to disability so that everyone can get equitable access to and service from their government.
Thank you, Minister. A previous HUMA meeting, we had a few witnesses in. Mark Wafer certainly was one with Tim Hortons, and Randy Lewis, I think it was, with Walgreens, that talked about how they've embraced persons with disabilities in the workplace, how they've found, the reliability, the lack of absenteeism, the commitment, being a part of the team was such an untapped market. And Minister, I just want to, again, kind of drill down a little bit on the Disability Inclusion Business Council. Obviously, it is a significant step towards prioritizing accessibility and disability inclusion in the workplace. Can you just elaborate a little more on that, please?
Well, yeah, really exciting. So under the employment pillar and within the employment strategy, we will have a specific focus on employers and building what one could call disability confidence within employers, and really translating what is a pretty well established business case for inclusion into actual practice. So we have appointed a national council, a group of business leaders from leading companies in Canada to really put a business lens on what can be done to build this confidence, to encourage and support employers as they hire, retain, advance, promote people with disabilities, just really hoping kind of the business to business language will translate into an uptake. As we all talk about labor shortages incessantly in this country, this is an untapped labor pool that we really need to bring in from the sidelines, remove the barriers that people are facing, and allow the creativity and talent to be utilized in our economy, because we just can't afford to have anybody on the sidelines from an economic point of view, and we're missing out from a prosperity point of view.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Madame Chabot pour 6 minutes.
Merci.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you to our witnesses. Thank you, Honourable Minister, for being here for this study on supplementary estimates. I don't know if you know the albums, youth albums, where you do some searches and you find. And that's what we've been trying to do with the supplementary estimates, is to try to find a tie-in with employment insurance. But I didn't find anything. And if I didn't find anything, it's because there is nothing. And so this is very disappointing. Madam Minister, you have in your mandate to provide a framework for employment insurance by the spring of 2022. That was a commitment, and the Prime Minister committed to this. In fact, in January last, you stated that you were convinced you'd be able to respect the deadline imposed by the Prime Minister, in addition to establishing new rules and benefits. I read that by the Canadian press. What explains, Madam Minister, after 2 rounds of consultation, that the global reform of employment insurance that is, leaving numerous employees on the sidelines, how can you explain we do not yet have a reform? Thank you for the question. I can assure you that the work for the modernization of employment insurance continues. We are not finished with the plan. It continues to be developed, and that has been the case during these last 2 years of consultation.
We were in a period of significantly high unemployment, and we are now in a completely different economic space. And that has highlighted the need to ensure any modernization, any plan for the future, any roadmap for the future of employment insurance can take into account the flexibility required to deal with both high and low unemployment. We know that there are significant challenges within this program in terms of access to the program, and adequacy of the benefits and supports once you're in the program, and that's what we continue to refine. I would say we are probably at a point of.
We don't have much time. I regret having to interrupt you, but it's precisely that the whole purpose of the modernization of the employment insurance regime. You'll recall the pandemic and the CERB, and you had to, make decisions on the fly. Many of your colleagues and yourself said that the employment insurance was outdated. The safety net is does not suffice. It needs modernization. After consultations, the unions, the advocates, we know what the solutions are. Why do we continue to wait? Precisely because of the economic situation, it's high time to put in place a reform that will give access to workers. We can't afford to wait for another crisis. We are in the midst of a crisis. So if nothing is done now, and I mean, we have a recession, for instance, we'll have chaos. Nothing can explain this delay. And the fact that there's no commitment on this issue is very disappointing for the groups we represent. I have a last question. Are you, as a government, proud? Are you, as a minister, proud that we have employment insurance that's only covering some 40% of those who are contributing to the plan? It discriminates against pregnant women because of the admissibility rules. And so there is nothing there for, weeks and the very low benefits. This is what needs to be enhanced. And, Madam Minister, you have the tools to do so. Can you tell us when you will table a plan for the reform? I'm entirely in agreement that we need to modernize and overhaul that employment insurance system. We will be doing so. We will be presenting the plan soon. When, Madam Minister? Well, we need to do it correctly.
On our commitment to modernize, when we tabled the Board of Appeal legislation last fall, when we increased EI sickness benefits from 15 to 26 weeks, where we committed in last year's budget to extend the seasonal workers pilot. But we know that we can't, it's not best for the system to make piecemeal reform. So it all has to fit together, and that's what we're working on doing.
Madame la Ministre.
Madam Minister, it is crucially important if we want a safety net, because this employment insurance fund is the best economic stabilizer in a crisis. And workers are paying their contributions. So they pay their contributions, but they're not entitled because the admissibility rules are too rigid. In addition, they wait months and months for those who are even entitled to get their benefits. So it's absolutely necessary to modernize the plan. And I know you believe that. It takes political will. So there's been a commitment in 2015, 2019, 2021 in the minister's mandate letters. And you keep saying, yes, we need to modernize. Yes, we're committed. Yes, we're working on it. But what is the future outlook? That we are waiting for answers at the forum on unemployed last week. There was a great deal of disappointment for lack of answers.
Now to Madame Zarillo for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I did want to ask the minister about the line on technology updates, the $16.3 million that she referenced earlier. But before I get into that, I did want to just comment that I've appreciated the minister's commitment to equity and equality, and that includes in employment. But there is one area of the economy and workers that hasn't had the respect or the recognition that it's deserved, and that's the care economy. And that's workers such as long-term personal support workers, long-term care workers, child care workers, which we know we are going to need a lot more of professional carers with the new child care program. And really, Minister, this is gender discrimination since the beginning of time. The burden of the economy and the care portion of the economy has always fallen on women, and they've never gotten the respect and the pay that they deserve. So I just wanted to point out, Minister, that there was a report that came out of this committee just yesterday that talks about investments in the care economy. So my question to you is in relation to the need for more investment in the care economy, future skills, labor needs, and there is a recommendation here, recommendation 3 that talks about supporting a wide range of strategies to make training and care-related fields more accessible, and training options like micro-credentialing, upskilling options, those sort of things. And I want to elevate it here, Minister, and I wanted to hear from you. Is this getting increased exposure, and how can we get this increased exposure as we think about training for the future?
Well, first of all, congratulations on the tabling of that report. It's really important that we have the conversations around the care economy framed as it has been in the work that you all have done. So again, congratulations. What we've been doing at ESDC, and I'll ask officials to chime in, is really put a healthcare/care economy lens as a priority as we've rolled out, particularly post-pandemic, but just before, during pandemic as well, whether it's a sectoral workforce solutions program, healthcare, care economy is a priority, whether it's foreign credential recognition. We just closed a call for proposals specifically related to credentialing of care workers. We are working on our commitments around personal support workers, which I'm sure someone in the room there can add a little bit more detail to, but ECE workers, our childcare agreement with every province has commitments embedded into in terms of the training and the work conditions for early childhood educators, and then of course the commitments to age at home, the commitments to have dignity and long-term care. I would say all of this is coming together because of the evolution of the way we talk and the way about and we value care work, as driven by a lot of the work that you all have been doing, but that has been happening across the country. And as someone who's worked in the disability space for so very long, it's a very exciting framing to the conversation because it adds such a significant amount of respect and dignity.
Thank you, Minister, and I look forward to more coverage in that in the media and more talking about the care economy as a key and integral part of the economy. I wanted to go back to the supplementary estimates and on technology updates, and this is something that you and I have spoken about in the past, and even in relation to C22 and how that benefit will be expressed into the community, how technology needs to be able to underpin that. So yeah, I wonder if you could expand more on this $16.3 million and what projects are being undertaken.
Apologies, couldn't get off mute there. I'm going to flip this one too. I have a long explanation here, but I feel there will be somebody who could more succinctly answer this for me if I pass it to JF and the team.
Thank you, Minister. This is what we call the technology debt in this case. This is not necessarily developing new projects, but you may be aware, as you know, we've got OAS, we've got CPP, NEI, and they all run on really old IT systems. We have a plan on replacing those systems, but at the moment what we need to do is to stabilize the existing system to make sure that it continues to work appropriately. So we got funding in 2021, or 21 actually, of $469 million over 6 years. This year, some of that money comes from the CRF, some of that money comes from the EI account, for example. This is the portion coming from the CRF. And the only objective with this is to stabilize the existing system. That could mean, for example, the infrastructure, making sure that they update it, and making sure that they are actually going to be working over the next 5-10 years.
Just a follow-up question that then, will that affect the rollout of a C22 benefit? Will it be affected by these legacy technologies? Will it limit?
No, we have a plan for the C22. We'll have a plan for this, and it won't affect it. It won't. All those things are taken into account. It's really in the context of EI in this case, and OAS and CPP, and making sure that the existing system is stabilized. But those are systems we can play with. We have shown that in the past. It's just that they're quite old actually. So we need to make sure they continue to exist before they becomes eligible to some of our old programs.
Thank you.
Hello. That concludes your 6 minutes. Now to Madame Gray for 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, in 2017, there was a review done of the Social Security Tribunal by KPMG. Was an RFP put out for firms to conduct the review, or did KPMG receive a sole source contract?
I'll ask officials to see if they can answer that or if we have to provide that information after.
I don't have the answer to this. Sorry. We can check.
Thank you. I'd like that information to be tabled to this committee, please. And if there was an RFP, a copy tabled for this committee, what the RFP was. Do we know what or Minister, can you tell us what the dollar value of the contract was with KPMG to do this review?
From 2017, the same question, same contract?
Yes.
I don't have that information, no, but we can get it for you.
Thank you. If you could table for the committee a copy of that information. And are you able to provide a copy of the contract with KPMG in order to conduct the review?
JF, can we provide the contract?
We'll see what can be provided, and we'll provide it.
Great, thank you. The Canadian government has a contract strategy. Was a review of the statement of work done by the Comptroller General for the Social Security Tribunal review?
Again, we'll have to get that information for you.
Great, thank you, Minister. Part of the role of a department is to prepare a statement of work using performance specifications whenever possible. Was a statement of work done for this review?
Again, I
think the
so, but I would not.
CFO can
Yeah.
answer the question.
Okay.
Although, Mr. Chair, I wasn't here in 2017, I can attest to the fact that there are statements of work on all of our files that go forward for procurement.
Great, thank you. Was a contract strategy done for this review? Anyone?
Sorry, I'll get that answer for you, but sorry, it predates me. So anyway, I will get back to you.
Great. So if we could have tabled for this committee both the statement of work and the contract strategy for this review that KPMG did to this committee, please. Minister, was there a ministerial sign-off on this review, or whether it was yourself or your predecessor?
As you note, it predates me. I will have to confirm. It depends on the amount of the contract, whose authority is sought to sign off on any given contract. So we can get that information for you.
Great, thank you. You know, in some respects, it's kind of surprising that we don't have this information, considering that that your government has just tabled Bill C-37, which this review led up to what is being tabled in Bill C-37. So I would have thought that you would have had more. Everyone would have been more prepared to answer those questions. But we'll go on to something else. Minister, in September of 2022, you told in the House in Parliament that Parliament would know the government's vision for EI by the end of 2022, and that promise has now come and gone. This is creating a lot of uncertainty. It's a lot of stress for working people as well as businesses, both for what they may need to pay in, but also who may be accessing it. So when will the plan be announced?
Thanks for the question. As I previously testified, we continue to refine the plan. It's important to me that we get it right and that we take into account everything that's been advised, all the submissions, all what we heard in the consultations, and we are not ready to release it, but it will be done. It will be released soon.
Minister, are you planning to release it prior to Budget 2023?
I'm not in a position to make that to make that promise at this point. I don't know when it will be released. Like I said, there's a lot of moving parts, and this is proven to be incredibly complicated. And if we want to get it right and avoid the piecemeal approach of the past,
are you expecting it this year, Minister? Sometime this year in 2023?
Yes, this year. But I don't want to kind of. I hear you on when I have said I would deliver this before, and I want to be as honest as I can about this, as forthright as I can, and we are in the position of refinement.
And Minister, are you... Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
10 seconds. So. Another question.
Oh, thank you. Minister, will this be coming forth, are you planning on bringing forth legislation for EI reform, or are you going to be doing it in regulation like you've done with other government services?
Well, there will definitely be, as I've testified, there will be an IT component to this, a legislative component to this, a regulatory component to this, a financial component to this, a phased component. Yes, I mean, absolutely. There will be legislative changes required, and it will depend on the order of sequencing of changes as to how and when that needs to happen.
It's all pretty vague.
Madam Minister, now we'll go to Mr. Coteau for 5 minutes. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much. And thank you, Minister, for being here today with the committee. I know you've been quite busy with many files, so we do appreciate your time. I'm interested in students and how they contribute to the labor challenges we have as a country, and looking for ways to eliminate barriers that exist to prevent and take away from one being successful in post-secondary or through the apprenticeship programs. I was quite happy through the fall economic statement when I saw that the elimination of interest was being applied. Being someone who had to take OSAP, I think my final bill after post-secondary was about $56,000 that I had to pay back. Interest was something that was always a challenge because as you're paying, you can see the cost going up. So I just wanted you to, if you can, just talk a little bit about this component of, it was in your mandate letter, and how many students, what will be the impact of the elimination of interest on student loans? What will be the impact, and how many people will it impact and affect overall?
Well, thank you for the question. It's a really exciting initiative and will make a significant difference in the lives of so many students, both as they work to pay off existing student loans and as they contemplate post-secondary education for the future. So currently there's about 1.8 million students owe student loans. And so all of them are currently benefiting from the temporary freeze on interest and will benefit, those, who haven't paid their loan off in the next couple of months will benefit from the permanent removal of interest from student loans. It goes hand in hand with our other efforts, whether it was doubling student grants, whether it was apprenticeship service. We're really trying to support a wide variety of learning opportunities and learner types, whether it's skilled trades, skilled training for existing workers, new entrants into, post-secondary. It's hard to quantify the impact, but the way the Canada Financial Student Loan program works in Canada has resulted in some very effective ways of minimizing, I'm not eliminating, but minimizing student debt, and certainly eliminating interest is a big part of the success story for students moving forward.
I also saw that there was an increase, or at least in the mandate letter, an increase of 50% to the maximum debt forgiveness for family doctors and people within the medicine sector. Can you talk a little bit about that, how it impacts nurses and doctors?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at where we need nurses and doctors, we need nurses and doctors in rural communities, and so this is a program and an opportunity that incentivizes and that affords the doctors and nurses to contemplate the practice of rural medicine, I guess is how I would say it, by allowing access to a reduction in their loans if they are in those for the time period that they're in those communities. I don't have more details on the timeline for that. Is there an official in the room who can help me out with this one?
Yeah, I think.
Thank you, Chair. The timeline for the 50% increase is later this year, pending regulatory approvals. It was announced in Budget 2022, so we are working on the implementation of the measure, again, pending regulatory approvals.
Thank you, Atif.
Yeah, thank you. And when we say rural communities, what will do you have any clue, any idea at this point how that will be defined? Rural community, will it just be by the Canadian standard, or is there any more details on who will be eligible? Which kind of communities across the countries will be eligible for folks to go to serve and to get that reduction?
Atik, you.
Yes, the definition of rural and remote communities is somewhat technical. It's based on Statistics Canada's definition of census metropolitan area and census agglomeration area, and we exclude some of the urban areas from that definition. Budget 2022 also announced a commitment to review that definition, and that work is underway as well.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Do I have any more time left?
No. That's
okay. Thank you so much, Minister, and to the officials.
Okay, you've used your time. Maintenant, Madame Chabot.
And now, Madame Chabot, 2 minutes and a half. Thank you very much, Chair. Madam Minister, regarding the temporary foreign workers and the labor market assessments, you talked about making efforts to support workers, and there too, with Service Canada, there have been delays, and employers have denounced these delays, and that ties in with delays for employment insurance and other benefits. Now, for the employment insurance and these LMIAs, these are your responsibilities. And can you truly commit to the processes for employers to be hastened? Absolutely. We have service standards. I believe Mike is there. Mike?
Are we on service standards with LMIAs?
Yes, thank you very much. So in terms of the LMIA processing time, we actually have made good strides in improving the pace. So year over year, despite seeing a 37% increase in the volume of LMIAs, and that's this year up until the end of January compared to the full last fiscal year, we've actually improved the processing time writ large across all different streams by almost 5 business days. Plus précisément, dans la région de Québec.
More specifically, in the Quebec City area, we know that there are additional delays, and that's because this process is conducted jointly with the Quebec Department.
Work very closely with the Quebec region, and over the course of this fiscal year, we have improved our processing time by 18.4 business days, moving it from 52 days at the beginning of the year down to 34 business days at this point in time. So we continue to work very closely to improve that processing time.
Merci. Thank you very much for the answer. Another question, Madam Minister. I'm never going to tire asking you questions about employment insurance. It is so vital, not just for workers, but for our economy. You've committed to modernizing that act, and we're waiting for you to do so. And the IT systems cannot be an excuse for not moving forward. Thank you, Madame Chabot. And now, Madame Cirillo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I did want to revisit again the financial security pillar of the Inclusion Action Plan. And this relates specifically to, Minister, both you and I live in British Columbia, and we know how expensive it is to live there. And we know that the disability community is relying on the food banks now. It has become so expensive. It has become so expensive to live, and the financial supports just aren't there for persons living with disabilities. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what happened last week in my riding. A number of faith-based organizations came forward to me and said, you know, we really need to do something to alleviate this suffering and this this exorbitant cost of living in relation to food for persons living with disabilities. And so I've been asking over and over again, Minister, for an emergency relief benefit, some sort of relief for persons with disabilities that are now making impossible choices about whether they have an adequate meal for the day. So I'm just going to ask again, Minister, is there an opportunity to have an emergency relief benefit for persons with disabilities? We've seen before the Liberal government step up and help large corporations when they were in need. This is a compassionate ask. It's human rights, it's dignity, and wanted to know where you're at with it, Minister.
Well, thanks for the question. I, too, stay awake at night worrying about what's going on in the disability community and I can't think of a word to describe the levels of poverty and just the worry. Listen, we want to focus on the long-term solution. And we heard during C22 testimony that that's what they want. We don't want to divert any of our resources away from delivering the disability benefit. I think the call to action is to get this through the Senate, get this through the regulatory process, be ready to deliver it as soon as possible by focusing all of our efforts precisely on the delivery of the CDB and not diverting resources to anything other than the task at hand, which is the CDB.
And Minister, when you talk about diverting resources, do you mean funds? And if so, what are the resources that we're going to see in the budget 2023 for the C22?
What I mean there, Miss, I apologize, is more human resources, technical resources, processing resources. In terms of this year's budget, as I may have quipped before, it's a bit of a career-limiting move to scoop the finance minister on any budget, but we have made a commitment to the CDB. As a government, we have to go through a few more steps, with the Senate and the regulatory process. I have said that we will deliver the benefit in 2024, and that's what we're working towards.
Thank you, Madame Zarrillo. Madame Minister, Madame Gray for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, in November, you announced an extension of EI sickness benefits from 15 weeks to 26 weeks to go into effect December 18th, 2022. And on December 9th, I wrote to you regarding concerns from Canadians that this extension may not be retroactive for those who applied before December 18th, 2022. It's now February, and I still have not received a response from you. So can you answer this question for me now?
Thanks for the question, and I apologize for the non-response. That's not something I'm terribly proud of. I apologize. What I can tell you is the sickness benefits, the extension came into play mid-December and will not be retroactive to existing claims, will only apply to claims that were started on or after that date.
Thank you for that clarification, Minister. There'll be people that will be happy to hear your response, although not happy what the response is, because in particular, there were people that had to apply just before December 18th because of their personal circumstances, and so how do you reconcile this when your government's promise is to create a more flexible and inclusive EI program by not making this retroactive between the date of your announcement and December 18th?
It has as much to do with we needed to pick a date, and we needed for the legislation and the legislative changes to come into effect on a certain date. The legislation was not retroactive. It was felt that it would be more, I would say equitable is not quite the word, but fair to have a date that we would deliver this on moving forward, as opposed to picking some date in the past, which would also have said a lot. Anytime you establish a date in any of these programs, there are people on either side of it, and that's the best we could come up with. In my mind, the most fair way forward on this was not to go retroactive, but to go for new claims, and that was the decision that was made.
Thank you, Mr. Although, perhaps the when you said pick a date, picking the date that something is applicable as opposed to in the future might have really clarified things for people. But I'll go on to something else. Minister, as you know, my Conservative colleague Jacques Gourde has a private member's bill to further extend these benefits to 52 weeks. This committee, including your Liberal colleagues here, voted unanimously to adopt the bill during study. Will your government support providing a royal recommendation to this legislation so that it can be adopted?
As I said earlier, we are making good on our platform commitment and my mandate commitment to go from 15 to 26 weeks. As we look to modernize the program, this recommendation and any others that we heard, which were in the hundreds, I dare to say more than that, but let's say hundreds conservatively, this recommendation will fall into the broader modernization path, okay, as opposed to one of ongoing decisions.
Okay, well, Minister, this isn't just a recommendation, coming out of consultation. This is actually a private member's bill that went through the entire process and came to this committee and was voted on. So, it's really disappointing to hear that you're not going to be supporting providing this legislation a royal recommendation. I'll go on to another question. Minister, according to the estimates, $125,000 was transferred from ESDC to the Department of Natural Resources regarding the 2 Billion Trees program. Why was this transfer made?
Thank you. Catherine or JF?
Go ahead. Karen.
Mr. Chair, this was a transfer to Natural Resources Canada to support the planting of 25,000 trees. So it includes everything from the site preparation to the planting to monitoring activities to support a high survivability rate of the trees. Can I ask? Can I answer further?
Well, I think that answers it, that what it was actually for. So I'm just, what's ESDC's role in this? And I'm surprised that the minister didn't have the answer because, in fact, the minister is here to answer questions about estimates. So, I'll put it back over to you.
Mr. Chair, it supports our green plan like any other department has.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Now to Mr. Van Bynen to conclude with 5 minutes. Mr. Van Bynen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, I truly appreciate you attending here and have to say that I very much appreciate your genuine commitment to making lives better for many Canadians. And I truly appreciate as well that does not enable you to micromanage the minutiae and that you have a supporting team to look after those elements. Having said that, across vote 1B and 5B, the supplementary estimates B for 22-23 propose to allocate approximately $13.3 million to address labor, demand, and training, the workforce of the future. Budget 2022 and 2023, or the 2022 Fall Economic Statement, included a number of measures related to labor demand and skills development, such as introducing the tax deduction to support labor mobility for tradespeople, doubling the funding for the Union Training and Innovation Program, which supports union-based apprenticeship training, innovation, and enhanced partnerships in the Red Seal trades, and creating a sustainable job training center. Which initiatives would be supported by the proposed $13.3 million to address labor demand and training the workforce of the future?
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I've lost track of that number. You said 13.3. I apologize.
I believe it shows as 3.6 million in the votes 1B, and it shows as 9.6 million under votes 5B, grants and contributions.
Oh, yes. Okay, I see that. I apologize. There's a lot of paper in front of me. I'm a little frazzled here. Can someone help me out, JF?
Yeah, we can turn to Andrew, and there's actually a few items with 13.3. That's what is confusing.
Yeah, that's what I'm, the
Sorry.
TFW one is 13.3 as well. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so, and to the question about the 13.3 million in terms of providing supports and addressing labor market pressures, these are to provide first funding for the Foreign Credential Recognition Program, with an initial focus on supporting internationally educated health professionals. And so this is the funding for this year that was announced in Budget 2022. And as well to help apprentices from underrepresented groups begin and succeed in careers in the skilled trades through mentorship, career services, and job matching through UTIP. And so that's also relating to some of the funding that was announced in Budget 2022 to double the UTIP program.
Thank you. And how would the proposed funding help address the labor demand, and what would the impacts of the funding be in the short and the long term?
Do you want me to take a kick at that, Andrew? I'm sorry. Now I think this is just a testament to how well we work as a team. FCR, the Foreign Credential Recognition Program in particular, is an opportunity for us to work with provinces and their respective credentialing agencies to remove the red tape that sometimes and many times newcomers with significant international credentials experience. It also is funding to support first job experiences for people who newly arrive in Canada. There's so much benefits to this program, but it's really important that we work with provinces to remove this what can often be significant barriers by helping them streamline their processes and providing those first work experiences for new arrivals.
Up to that, it would be, how would the federal government measure the effectiveness of this spending? What are the goals and the objectives that we're seeking, and how would we measure our successes?
For us, it's quite clear. We have in those areas, of course, gaps between the existing situations. For example, when we think about populations that is vulnerable or generally excluded from the labor market, we know what is the gap between this population and the rest of Canadians. So with those measures, what we will try to, with those new initiatives, what we will try to measure is how are we efficient by increasing their participation in those areas. For example, apprenticeship is a good example of this. As you know, there's some groups who are sometimes excluded from some industry. So we know by working and targeting those populations, we want to see how this effort would actually close the gap between some segment of the population and the rest of Canadians.
Bynum, that concludes this round. Thank you, Minister, and thank you, department officials, for appearing before the UMA Committee today to answer questions. Is it the pleasure of the committee to adjourn? Adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.